a vaccine that will be able to cure that disease. And we are hoping that in the future, maybe the first person to manufacture or invent HIV and AIDS vaccine has to come from South Africa. So it is also critical that we educate our children, and as they grow, we let them know of the challenges that we are faced with as South Africans, that we are not able to manufacture anything that we can be able to sell out there like vaccines. We know that with COVID-19, the vaccines came from countries like the US, countries like China, and the question that remains is, what is it that we need to do so that when in future outbreaks of this nature like coronavirus strikes, we are well prepared to deal with it. We know that there's also the National Pandemic Fund, which was created after the outbreak of the COVID-19, and South Africa has been earmarked as one of those countries that is supposed to up its games, especially in dealing with manufacturing of vaccines, so that when the pandemics or the virus strikes in the future, we are not caught sleeping like the COVID-19 did to us in 2019. And we are hoping that you, as our listener, you'll be able to send us your voice notes as well as your text messages to indicate what you think needs to be done by African states, so that we are not caught sleeping like COVID-19 did in 2019. And in our top stories for today, yesterday the MEC of Finance in Gauteng tabled that province budget speech, and on the show our reporter Lokuhle Mokoena has prepared a report where she is detailing how it went in Gauteng prior and after that budget speech was tabled by the MEC for Finance in Gauteng, Mr. Lebogang Maile. And in our next story, or our second story for today, we are looking at the civic organization Action Society is demanding answers from the South African Police Service as to how are the 8 people or employees of the South African Police Services are funding their legal fees. And we know that this is arising from a matter which occurred somewhere about 20 months ago, where about 8 people, 8 of the SAPS employees were accused of having assaulted a citizen on the highway in Gauteng, which resulted into that person becoming unconscious while being assaulted or at the hands of the SAPS. And we will be reading into that story and get to understand what the organization Action Society is saying with regards to that. And in our next story, or the third story for today, I will look at the road accident fund, where we know that that organization is a critical organization in South Africa, and it is also an agency of the Department of Roads and Transport, and it is responsible for compensating victims of road accidents. And on that story, on the line around 25 to 7, will be joined by a senior manager at the Road Accident Fund, and that is Mr. Katuma Kadan, and he will be talking to us about the fraudulent claims which that agency is faced with, or that fund is faced with, as well as also enlightening us as the community members as to what is it that we can do to ensure that we protect the road accident fund, so that the right people, the right victims of road accidents are the ones who get to claim from that accident, from that road accident fund. As we know that of late, or if not of late, for many years now, that road accident fund has been under strenuous, or has operated under strenuous situations where it has to compensate even people who find themselves maybe injured outside of our roads, but due to the fraud and corruption that is at its height in South Africa, ended up claiming from a road accident fund and saying that they are the victims, or they are the victims of road accidents. And Mr. Katu will be talking to us with regards to fraudulent claims which are submitted in the road accident fund, and how they are dealing with such fraudulent claims, so that the fund does not continue to lose money, as that fund does not have money. We know that the road accident fund does not have money, but it continues to operate despite those challenges that it is facing. It is being taken to court left, right, and center, because people are waiting for their payments, and at some stage it doesn't have money. It has to wait for the new financial year to kick in, or it has to request money from Treasury so that it is able to compensate those victims of road fatalities or road accidents. And then later on in our international stories, we'll look at the World Health Organization, where it is saying about 8 countries will run out of HIV treatment due to the cutting of the US aid, or US aid, and as well as programs which were funded under the PEPFAR of the United States of America. And the Director General of the World Health Organization, Mr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, I beg your pardon, I'm trying to read the surname, but it's Ghebreyesus. He will be indicating as to what is it that as the World Health Organization needs to be done in order to ensure that these countries that will give them, those countries later on the show, they do not run out of